and welcome to Manel Goes Racing, and today we are in Automobilist 2 having a look at the latest update, which is to version 1.1.2.0. Now, quick review of where the thing was at before today. Last thing I covered was the 1.1.1.0, I believe, and there are a couple of updates after that, the 1.1.1.1 and the 1.1.1.3, and basically they did a lot of work in terms of just changing grip, the usual apparently small changes to physics, AI, etc., and overall weren't a bad update. Excuse me. Today we're going to cover the 1.1.1.3 to 1.1.2.0 changes, but I will link to the changelog for the previous two updates as well, just to fill you in case I've missed anything particularly important. I don't think I have, but there we go. And if I can actually hit the... Go over there, you silly thing. Right, the... first thing to cover is the additional content, and that's one of the big ones, which is the Spa 1993 layout. Now, of the layouts they're going to do for Spa, I think it's 3 in total, I might be wrong. There's the modern one, the very old sort of 1970s-ish one, and the 93 one. This is actually the one I wasn't that bothered about, to be honest. I like the really long circuit. I like the modern circuit. The one in the middle, I'll explain why I dislike it a little bit. It's okay, but there are certain facets of the track that can be a pain in the bum. And you'll see why if I manage to drive as badly around it as I did the other day. Other than that, we've got the Group C class featuring the Sauber Mercedes C9 and the Porsche 962C, and I'll just make this a bit bigger so I can read it, because my eyes are going, you know. Added the 1999 stock car Omega series, and we'll have a look at that in a minute, and we will actually drive that first round. The new Spa before we get in a car. That's a bit too quick for me. My old brain to keep up with. Right, general updates. Implemented new live track wet weather rubber washing. Yes, that's a mouthful. Basically, if it rains and there's rubber on the track, it washes the rubber away slowly. And the more heavy the rain, the faster it washes it away, in theory. So basically what you should find is you might find the grip actually improves on the racing line and gets worse off the racing line, or doesn't improve off the racing line as when the track is getting wetter. We'll see. I can't say I've tested it too much. Expanded available opponent classes to 9, so there's a total of 10. That means you can have a right mixed bag of very slow through very fast cars. You can't at the moment make sort of specific, I would like 2 of these, 4 of these, 6 of these, or anything like that. It's just you can choose up to 10 classes to race against. 10 because you have to include the one you are driving. So you can't have, I want a really fast car and the rest of you fuck off hitting me in something slow. So bumped headlight range from 160 to 240 metres for all cars. If you've ever driven a classic Mini, as in a sort of 1970s or 80s Mini, that's overkill, that is. About 2 metres would have been about right for one of them. Yes, they are terrible. Corrected number of opponents in championship mode to match the series' current total number of opponents. Added function to set different presets of rubber depending on type of session, making option available to player will follow soon. Basically you will be able to go, I'd like a green track, a really rubbered in track, etc., but not yet. So don't look for that option, it ain't there. Added new functions to control when vehicle headlights and tail lights should remain on, and DRS rules remain disabled based on track wetness threshold. Previously was solely based on environmental light levels. Replaced Spa 2020 with Spa 1993 on the calendar for the pre-2005 championships, which is fair enough. UI and HUD. Restyled event rules and regulations page. Restyled single player opponent settings page. Added help text to online opponent settings screen. Fixed wrong value link on Gear 7-8 assignments. Fixed redundant adjustable wing setup option being available for cars without such aero components. Corrected tyre names for various cars using street or semi-slick compounds. Fixed missing French and German localisation for track limits setting. Adjusted font size on track limit warning labels for rules and regulations UI screen. FFB. Introduced a routine to reset FFB in case FFB loss. Game detects loss and reset or FFB automatically. It should be seamless for player. Basically, what they did was, when they were having problems with the FFB slamming the wheel left or right, they changed it so it basically drops out. Now they should, instead of doing that, it should reset the FFB, so you shouldn't actually you might feel a bit of a nudge maybe, depends how fast the update rate is. I think it's 500 Hz, so it shouldn't be anything particularly detectable because that's a couple of milliseconds, and if you can detect that, you're a better man than me, Gungadin. Adjusted default FFB profile for more accurate self-aligning torque. Milder force spikes over big bumps and other such hidden tyre road change. I think that's what I was meant to say. It says ode.change, but I'll try and read between the lines of it there. Adjusted effect from braking torque should provide better feedback during lockups. Split FX signal from low force boost setting. Physics added slow damping function to all tyres, generally improves tyre damping and fixes bouncing effect at very slow speeds, previously prominent in Formula cars. So, there were one or two cars which, if you started to drive them and then stop, they just sat there oscillating. Well, hopefully that's all damped out now, so it shouldn't be a problem. They did add it into all cars, and they've taken it out of some and left it in others, depending upon if they were affected by the problem, because it did have an effect on the FFB as well. Like everything in developing this sort of thing, if you make a change to a tyre or a surface, it can affect everything, sometimes detrimentally as well as for the better. Added intermediate and extreme tyre compounds for modern protos, GTs and formulas. Adjusted tyre tread for 60s touring cars, Apolias, Copa Fusca Uno, Truck, Caterham Academy and Formula Trainer. I'm not sure if that's I presume that's a physical as opposed to a visual change, because there were a couple of cars that had some tyres that looked a bit wrong. That might be mentioned anyway. Adjusted semi-slick tyre tread, Formula Trainer Advanced, Caterham's Arc Camaro. Adjusted Formula V, Apollo 1979 and old stock tyre treads. Increased RPM threshold for reduced engine life in two-stroke carts. Moved metal Moro AJR diffuser centre of pressure rearwards by 2 cm, slightly rebalancing overall aero distribution. Yep, just 2 cm difference, you can feel that. It's hard to get your head around at time that a change by that much can make that much of an effect that you will go, blimey, that's a different car. Slightly fall-off rates in rain for all select tyres. I think that's slightly reduced fall-off rates. It doesn't actually have a word between slightly and fall-off, so again I'm reading between the, well, in this case, words. Addressing issues with tyres losing all adherence beyond a certain saturation point. Minor stiffness adjustment in GT Proto stock car tyre carcasses. I don't know whether it's stiffened them or slackened them off a bit. Throw some Viagra at your tyres, that'll stiffen them up. Added a minor preload resistance to open diffs in cars with more powerful engines. Added Porsche 911 GT1 engine compression. Adjusted. Did I say added? Adjusted. Read the word, you fool. GT engine compression curve. Adjusted to default gear ratios for McLaren F1 GTR and Mercedes CLK in GT1 class. Minor crankshaft mass adjustments to F1 cars. Corrected 720S GT3 negative rear toe setting. Setup reset recommended. Moved default brake bias slightly rearwards for Cobra truck. Formula trainers require setup reset recommended. Requires recommended. Yeah, okay. AI. I need a quick swig of my drink. Hang on a sec. Oh, that's better. Lovely cup of coffee. Various AI behaviour improvements. Adding car-specific parameters to improve their overtaking assessments both against human player and AI versus AI. Added car-specific overrides for previously global parameters, controlling the amount of lifting off the throttle AI would do while running over puddles, and introduced new car-specific parameter, controlling the amount of lifting while on wet tyres. Generally less than on dry tyres, improves their straight line performance when going through large amounts of standing water. Added several car-specific overrides for previously global AI parameters such as brake and re-acceleration distance thresholds, start reaction times, distance triggers for defending position, not depending physician. A depending physician is when your doctor's thinking, should I go around or not? Reduced likelihood of AI crashing into a wall when side by side with human. Increased AI driver's performance range. His missus will be pleased. Minor AI calibration pass for performance drop-off with tyre wear. Azure smoothed corridors in several locations. Slightly increased AI grip at Bathurst, Nürburgring, GP and Velocita. Tracks, Adelaide, reduced road mesh noise, smooth curb entrance to T13. Imola, fixed camera man pop-up. Cameraman just pops up out of nowhere and takes your picture. Kyalami removed glitchy helicopter animation. Silverstone trimmed 3D grass clipping walls in some places. Fixed a few object pop-ups. Consolidated some grandstands into larger objects, same materials. And optimised shadows. Revised max AI participants for various tracks, correcting when this differed from available garage slots. Hopefully that means that one or two places might have a few more available, because when you've got a very limited number of AI slots, it can mean that it's a bit of a pain to use certain tracks if they've only got a very limited number of garages. What they really need to do is double up the cars per garage. Disabled depth of field blur in all trackside VR cams for tracks that have them, currently only grade A tracks. Vehicles, a Formula V10 Gen 2, fixed visual tyre tread not corresponding the actual tyre when switching from wet to dry. I think that was the one that had like a modern looking intermediate when it should have been wet. Formula Classic all gens added dirt stroke scratch map plus new UV channel 3 mapping for carbon fibre cockpit. Cobra Montana added scratch map. BMW M6 GT3 fixed a red car paint issue in cockpit view. Car 91. Formula V10 fixed visual glitch with windscreen in rain. Gold Classic V fixed front splitter glitch. Ultimate GTR fixed oil pressure needle. Formula 3 F309 corrected RPM bars range. Lancer R and RS livery override entry added for windscreen and wing. Corrected cockpit point of view in Metal Morrow AGR. McLaren 570S Ultimate GTR. Corrected rain tyre tread for Formula Retros. That might be another one. I didn't mean to do that. Don't do that. Don't. Go away. And that's it. That was the one I was thinking of, the intermediate, when it should have been the older style tread was the Formula Retro, I think. Talking of which, I did race the Formula Retros the other day, and the changes they have made to tyre tread and diff by most of the problems with the diff with the LSD appear to be down to getting the right numbers in the components around the input and output of the diff, namely how heavy the crankshaft is, weights of flywheels, things like that, and also things like shafts, etc. Drive shafts. They seem to have got round a lot of the problems they were having by making those adjustments. So I don't think there was a necessarily fundamental issue with the diff calculations so much as you just had to get the right numbers around them to make them work better. And they're definitely improving. You can still feel a bit of on and off feeling the diff in the, what was I driving? I think it was a McLaren. But definitely a massive improvement. They don't just plough under steer into a corner and then you just have to slow down to 5 miles an hour to get round it. You can actually drive the damn car now. Right, this is the Omega stock in 1999, and that there is a 1993 Spa-Francorchamps. Reasonable livery selection. Some of those are a bit interesting colour-wise. I will say, I don't know what's happened with the showroom, but if I go into it, it looks alright now. Earlier on it looked really bizarre. It was like the thing had gone into some sort of weird HDR mode or something. All the colours were already washed out, so no idea what that was about, so it might be that I just need to delete and redo all the settings again. I haven't done that for a day or two, so everybody's probably sitting there going, you should be doing that. You can't give us a decent approximation of what's happening in the world unless you do that. But sorry, I do delete things occasionally. I usually it's mostly a case of deleting the setups rather than the settings for HDR, etc. Although I haven't actually got HDR, so, or I haven't got an HDR capable screen, I've got an HDR capable computer, just whatever. Right, let's have a drive round. Now I'm going to sit on top of the car. Can I adjust the camera up? I'm not sure if it allows you to adjust it from out here. I don't think it is. Yep. Start the engine. Right, 1993 Spa. Now, 1993 Spa, in terms of layout, is pretty much the same as it is now. We'll get to the difference eventually as we go around the circuit, but you'll notice probably already there's a lot more things beside the circuit over there. And as we come around the corner here, hello peeps, what are you all doing standing over there? Right, this is, I think, where behind us, if I can look back in anger, or just look back full stop, back there is like where the road used to come through, and this was public road as far as I remember. So, yes, that's why there's dotted lines down the middle of the road and other things. Not a lot of runoff, as you can see, on the outside there. So, pretty dodgy. Nice bit of water crashing into up there. The main thing you'll notice is how little runoff there is compared with like the modern circuit. I mean, the pit garages, I think, are pretty much the same. I don't think they've rebuilt them since the 90s. They might have put some doors on the garages, but I'm pretty sure that's fairly much the same. I'll have to go and double check. Pit exit's in a slightly more dodgy position, as you might notice. So you have to be a bit careful if something's coming out of the pits whilst you're trying to come into here. Again, the amount of runoff is scarily small. There's no big building up there as well. And of course this is where I think basically Radeon used to be a big wide arc of a corner that shot off over there somewhere, and I think you can, if you go and look at like Google Maps or something, you actually still see where it used to go. In fact, you can trace most of the original 1950s circuit or whatever it was. In terms of how it looks, it's very nice. Again, as always, nice selection of trees. Again, they're all 2D cross trees, but they're nicely done, so they have good performance without being without looking like they're a bit plastic or anything else. So they look nice and they work well, which is useful, because the last thing you want is something that requires a really high-end machine just to run around on a long circuit. I'm not sure how accurate the trees are placed, but obviously there's lots of people over there. Goodly sized brake marker things here, so you won't have too many problems spotting him. And into, I've forgotten the name of the bloody corner again. But right, the first thing to notice is if we go over here, you'll see that this curb is quite lumpy and hard, and then it goes to concrete, and that's where the public road pisses off. All the curbs are considerably bigger in terms of height, but short in terms of, relatively short in terms of width. These aren't actually too bad compared with like a 1970s type curb is about this high and about this wide and was like this angle, so relatively speaking they're not too bad. But there are one or two other points around the circuit that are much more sort of 70s short style, so they don't pull too badly. They will sort of chuck you around a bit. Nicely textured with a nice crack in the paint. Again, it's mostly, in terms of the layout, it's the same so far. You won't see a lot of differences. The main issue is if you shoot off down here now, it'll take you 10 minutes to get out instead of 10 seconds, because you're not on tarmac anymore. There's no acres and acres of tarmac. I say now, then I should say. There was no acres and acres of tarmac. So that's the biggest change you'll note between like the older circuits and the newer circuits. It's just how little runoff older circuits had compared with their modern equivalents, and I have to say in some ways that makes them better and other ways it makes them worse. There is nothing worse than going off a circuit, finding you've lost it because you've hit a curb and you've spun it and stuck it in a wall. At the same time, you do have to drive more accurately, so it's a bit of a double-edged sword. If you can drive nice and accurately and kick the thing off the curbs, you shouldn't have too many problems. On the other hand, if you are new to all this sort of thing and you're struggling to get around the corners, the last thing you want to do is every time you make a mistake get stuck in a bloody gravel trap for 10 minutes or even forever, so you can't get out of it because it's just bloody infuriating and it puts you off. So I would say if you're new to the game and you find that you're getting stuck in gravel traps, keep at it with the newer stuff that allows you to get away with being less accurate, shall we say, until you get a little bit better at it. I say practice makes perfect. It's certainly will improve you if you are doing it right. It's like everything. If you practice badly, or if you practice bad habits, you won't get better. You'll just get better at doing things badly, if that makes sense. But again, a lot less runoff here. Loads of grass. Very nice grass. Lots of little flowers. So again, it's all really nicely done. I'm assuming all the trackside vehicles and everything are sort of circa 1990 whatever. Again, round here you have got a no get out of jail free cards for your runoff. You have got oops, you're going to get stuck for your runoff. This is one of the curves that's a little bit on the short side, so if you clip that you do tend to get thrown off it a bit, to the point where my throttle pedal is going, don't do that. This side's not so bad, so you can run out a little bit, but that's not a hugely fast corner. It's relatively quick, but again here this one's not quite so bad. It's a little bit more sloped, so you can get away with it a little bit. You will just get pushed off it probably. Again, round here you can't get away with going too far off the side of the curb because literally you're on the grass, and if you get dragged off on the grass you are going to be in deep shit going into the sand trap over there. Again, this curb's relatively innocuous, shall we say. You won't get chucked off it too much. That one's nicely sloped, and this is the old circuit where it joined on. Again, that'll be where you're coming in from the 1970 circuit when that gets here. I believe the kart, I don't know how long the kart circuit's been there. I think it's still there, isn't it? Can I just turn and have a look? I don't know how long that's been there, but it's there at the moment, so stone cold tyres. Am I in first? Oop. Use the clutch. Yes. Yes, again, this was public road, which is why it's got the dotted line up the middle of it, and we're on the right side of the road. Yes, literally on the right side of the road. I had to think about that. We're in Belgium, they drive on the wrong side of the road, so I'm on the right side of the road. Again, lack of runoff compared with modern circuit. So again, if you're a little bit inaccurate, you might end up getting slung out there. Now we come to what is my nemesis of a corner when it comes to this particular circuit, and it is because trying to carry enough speed around here, if you clip that, and I'll probably do it in a minute in one of the faster cars just to prove a point, or just to show how crap my driving is, you can get flicked off into here and you'll end up going through this crap and swearing at it a lot, probably because you'll be going bollocks, bollocks, bollocks. This is where the biggest difference is in terms of circuit compared with modern equivalent, is the bus stop, as it was called, and that is basically it's a chicane that quite tight on the entrance, so it did change a couple of times over the years, and then slightly less tight on the exit, but still you can get caught out a little bit by those two curbs. And then pit entrance is just here, and I think that's why they put the bus stop in, basically to stop people killing each other coming into the pits. So I think we should try a slightly faster lap round here. Let's get in the car. This is a bit of an arsehole because the line is sort of here somewhere, and it's quite easy to go over it and end up disallowing your lap. Quite a high wall, so now I thought all the stock cars had 4 gears, but this seems to have got 5, so no idea how warm my tyres are because I've turned the HUD off. It's quite I can't remember what I got the gain set on, but The 4-speed button, this is not too bad. The brakes are a bit bloody awful, but there you go. It's a stock car, what would you expect? It's a very nice, positive feeling car. It's quite well balanced. I wouldn't bother going much below 3rd gear most of the time because frankly you're just going to be rolling the nuts off it. I think it's a 4.1 litre straight 6 or something. So it's got a bit of grunt. Not got a lot of aero, so we won't try anything too clever around here. Just start to feel the back end moving out under acceleration. Like I said, it's actually quite a nice thing to drive. It's got enough power. You can don't change that a second. You'll over rev the bloody thing probably. Probably find the tyres are a bit chilly still. Not too bad. No idea how fast it is in a straight line. I'm going to ease off the throttle a little bit because I'm not sure how well it's going to turn in. Not too bad. Because I haven't actually driven it around here. Ooh, don't forget to slow down for the... This thing goes over the curves quite nicely, so not really a problem in this. But this is a really nice little car. It's certainly well worth a drive around. Just have a quick look from the off-board. Like I said, I'm not exactly pushing it too hard, but I've done a couple of laps in it and it's quite nicely balanced. It's not going to do anything that will surprise you too much. Let's see, I can get the tail out a little bit. Goes up the curves without killing you, which is nice. We'll try a car in a minute that will probably go up the curves and kill you. They seem to have improved the weird stuttering and other problems we were having with some of the replays, so hopefully that's a lot better. Probably should have changed up a gear there. All in all, nice little car, but worth a shot. Might be more suited to slightly tighter tracks maybe, but all in all, good fun little car to drive. And another Brazilian gem, shall we say, because there are some real nice little cars there. Typical. I just finished doing the next part of the video, and when I'd finished I closed the game and Steam went, oh, there's an update. So there's some changes that may affect what I did for the video, so what I've decided to do is I'll just go over the 1.1.2.1 changelog, and then I'll go back and do the 2 Group C cars around Spa and see if there's much difference to what it felt like earlier, because it might or it might not, and if it does I'd have to do it anyway, so I might as well have another go. So right, the changelog for version 1.1.2.1 fixed a bug where blue flag would be triggered incorrectly in some instances. Minor adjustments to aero stroke tyres for Group C cars and Amiga. So I don't know how much has affected the Amiga, but I will worry about that later. Hopefully it hasn't ruined it, because it's Really nice little car. Minor Group C bop adjustment to improve a 962C pace against the Sauber C9. Slightly better aero efficiency. Minor AI calibration pass for prototypes, sprint race and Super V8. Adjusted turbo volume for Sauber C9. Increased wet grip for concrete, low grip roads, curbs and AstroTurf. Spa-Francorchamps 1993. New AI path revision addressing some slow corners. Minor art pass correcting some objects popping. Ibarra reworked out-of-terrain export settings to solve a LOD pop-in rear view mirror. Updated stock car Amiga interior textures. Like I said, I'm going to ignore the Amiga changes for now. Hopefully I haven't ruined anything, because it was a nice little car. And we're going to have a look at the Group C now. We'll go to scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. Read all about it. We'll do the C9 first. Hopefully the old thing's working properly. Lovely looking car. I'm not sure if this is the same model as in another game that may share an engine with this particular game. So it does look very nice. I like these cars. I like the clean lines they have, as well as the fact they are, I mean, we're talking 826 horsepower, and what's that, 800, I don't know that that's anywhere near 800, but this thing certainly should get fairly close to its 826 brake horsepower. So I think it was the C9 is some ridiculous size engine. I can't remember how big it is. Right, without further bullshit, we'll just have a lovely. Right. No, I haven't got auto clutch on, and for some reason my clutch is coming in about a millionth of an inch off the ground here, which is somewhat annoying. Right, I don't know if this thing's actually got a what's the word I'm looking for? Turbo meter of some description to tell you when it's on power. But basically it requires almost zero steering input to go through the source. Now, they've added a lot of weird turbo whine to it, as it said, and it's quite annoying turbo whine. I think I preferred it how it was before, frankly. A little bit of understeer on the coldish tyres, but not too bad. I know what they've done to the tyres. They didn't actually say what specifically they've done, just change the tyres. So whether they're change the grip, change the stiffness, who knows, or something that might make them ride the curves better, who knows. Oh no, they don't ride the curves any better. That felt exactly the same as it did earlier. Careful on the exit there, because you don't want to run wide. Bit of a confidence lift. careful around the hairpin coming out of it. Use the monumental torque of the big Merc engine. Woo! Bit of a kick off the curb there. I'm surprised that this actually allowed that. And as you can see, we're absolutely flat out for half a straight, so I'm not sure just how bloody fast this thing will go in a straight line, but it's got a lot in reserve because it's got a lot of grunt. I think it's actually set to 85% boost by default, and he's producing 830 odd horsepower. We'll just give us a quick flick and have a look. 810 it's peaked at, so it's got so much grunt you can use a huge gear. Whoop. A little bit cautious with the brakes at the moment. Probably not a lot of grip in the track as we're in a practice session, and they have changed the track grip. Try not to catch the inside curb, it will kill you. Whoops. Try to hit 7th gear there. That's a couple of laps. I was going to say a couple of quick laps, but not particularly quick. Just have a look from the outside, see what it looks like. Screaming along. Ooh, yep. Definitely a bit too much grass there. Yeah, they've definitely changed the turbos. A lot more whistling and whining, and actually I don't like it. I preferred it how it was before they changed it. It's one of those annoying whistles that sets my tinnitus off straight away, and my ears are going, nah, fuck off, stop it, don't do that. But other than the turbo whine, it sounds really nice. So, but I'm sure it had more gear whine earlier as well. But I have to say, it is a mentally fast car. It is just 800 plus horsepower and relatively simple aerodynamic car. It's quite a clean, no extra bullshit like they have in the modern cars. Which is one of the things I like about this sort of period of cars. They were quite clean, quite simple looking. Certainly left a lot of room for error there, didn't I? Trouble is, the error is likely to happen on the inside curb, because if you catch that, whoops, definite cock up in the gear change department there. If you catch that inside curb, you will invariably die. Have a quick look in the setup, and and it's on the drivetrain, isn't it? Yeah, default boost 85%. So I don't know what it will give you if you stick it all the way up. Apparently, it's not too bad in terms of delay on turbo or anything, and I'm sure this thing will pull a lot more top end. The question is, how much better or worse is this going to be than it was earlier? I did, like I said, I had already finished doing this video and had to sort of start the second half again. and I did almost identical laps between the two, so it shouldn't make a lot of difference. First thing to check is, let me just go on the old, because I'm sure this thing had a lot less grunt than the 800 horsepower it's listed with, so if the Sauber's meant to be 830, it was pulling about 810. I assume it's a little bit of the, I'm not sure how far above sea level Spa is. I was at 730-ish. So a lot less, 80 plus horsepower less. Let's turn that off. Get the right thing. Oh no, on second thoughts we go. I'll get my brain in there in a minute. So you can see how fast it is or isn't going. I have to say, I actually prefer the sound of this for the turbo. I didn't know to go down to third, I just wanted to hear what it sounded like. A nice little chirp as you change up. It's much more pleasant than the horrible whistle that you get building up on the C9. So. This thing's definitely a bit closer to the ground. You can hear it scraping. A little bit of understeer on turning there. That was a terrible line. Definitely feel like it's got a bit of understeer starting there through Eau Rouge and Eau Rouge. Whatever that bloody corner's called, my brain's suddenly gone. Yeah, I think it's definitely feeling a little bit slippery at the moment, so, but like I said, they have changed the track grip for practice to give it a little less grip, so now the steering's a little bit lighter on this, but it does share the very tight centre feeling and very small amount of effort return, well not effort so much as turn required to get it to go through the Eau Rouge really on. My brain went Eau Rouge and then suddenly went, oh that's the hairpin, like no that's the sauce you prat, so I think I was more awake earlier. I think we might have to do one more lap to see what sort of times we get, because that wasn't a very good lap. Again, former rim not best thing for this sort of thing, when you need to get through a hairpin that's quite that tight. Much better. Might actually get some decent speed this time. Let's see what we get. That's certainly a lot faster than it was earlier, is I. Now, it basically comes down to, whilst improving the aero efficiency, did they do it by effectively giving it less drag without changing the amount of downforce? This is what you'd hope they'd mean by efficiency, so you'd probably get through there without a lift, but I'm not sure if the tyres and the track is completely as grippy as it should be. Whoops, that was a total fuck up. Yeah, it's definitely quicker. Much more in line with what you'd expect to get out of the Sauber after a bit of finessing, shall we say. So, major improvement. I'll just have a... before I forget, well, I'll have a... I will say they're a nice addition. The 93 track's also a nice addition, although how much you sort of get, because you do have to be a bit more accurate. Obviously, if you touch the wrong curve at the wrong time, 180 miles an hour through Blanchimont, is it? The very fast left-hander. The one thing you don't want to be doing is getting kicked off a curb at 180 miles an hour, because you will end up with a kitty litter on the outside. So there's a little less room for cock-ups, shall we say. So some people might say it's more of a man's track. Well, yeah, whatever. But at the end of the day, you have to either work out how to drive the track to the best of its and your ability, or you have to learn to live with its foibles. So and still I left a bit of a gap on the outside there, but another cocked up gear change. Yep, I think that's a definite improvement in terms of the straight line performance of that car. It was 175-ish at the end of the Camel Straight earlier on, and now it's 190 miles an hour, which is a fairly big increase. So it should be much more competitive now, at least on fast circuits. I still think it needs a little bit more, potentially, grunt from the engine. If it's meant to have 800 horsepower, if it's only meant to be about 30 down, looks like it's more like 80 brake horsepower down. Be interested to see what both produce at 100% turbo, but I'm not going to do that now. I will leave that as an exercise to the reader. So nice additions, nice updates. I think I mentioned earlier, did I? About the Formula Retro, much improved. The changes they've made that allowed them to get more accurate clutch LSD performance are very welcome. The improvements in the way the cars drive are coming on in leaps and bounds, and I hope they can carry on. So, for me, for now, that's all. Enjoy racing, stay safe, get a jab, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.